because it distorts reality.
Sure.
And now, like you're saying, we're living off of these false narratives.
Yep.
We're telling ourselves this story of, you're wrong for doing that, and you don't even care about me, or whatever it is, or you're overreacting, and things like that. And now we're going to go about our lives living off of something that is false.
Hey, welcome again to another episode of Expedition Marriage. I am Chris, my lovely bride Jamie, and we want to thank you for joining us again today. Or this evening, or this morning, whenever you're listening. Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
You gotta start off with being a dork every time, don't you?
I don't start with being a dork. It's an ongoing evolution.
Yeah, okay. There's Fair enough.
Yeah, it's not a, hey, turn on the dork.
The dork never turns off.
It's right. No. It's just a continuation. It's open up the valve maybe a little wider.
Yeah, that might be it. It's on full display. That's all right.
Yeah,
be dorky.
That's true.
I love you.
I own it.
Yes.
That's what's important. And own your dork. Own your inner dork. It's okay. Be weird. Be weird. Okay. Being married, if you all are married, then you've probably experienced the scenario if you have kids, right? If you don't have kids, you've got something to look forward to. So it's Sunday morning and we're getting ready for church. And the kids aren't finding their stuff and they're arguing and they keep coming to mom and complaining and causing all the sorts of things. And you're already running a little behind. And so things are hectic and mom's still trying to get ready and the kids keep coming to them. And then dad's sitting on the bed on his phone because he's already ready to go.
Yes. Yes.
So when I paint that picture for you, JB didn't know I was going to ask you. While I paint that picture for you, what is it that you're thinking? What are some of the initial reactions that you may have for that situation?
For real? Yeah. Like it is, can you not see everything that needs to be done? Can you not see, like, could you help the kids put on some shoes? Can you get things organized? Can you get up and help out?
Right. Yeah.
Yes. I'm clearly overwhelmed. I've got all this stuff. Like, how are you so okay with me doing everything?
Oh yeah. And also even the kids. Hey kids, can't you see that I'm getting ready? Your dad's over there. Can't you see he can help you? Right? Why aren't you seeing that he's available? Yeah. And dad's probably sitting there thinking, well, I'm ready. I'm available. Can't you see? I'm just on my phone. If you need something, just let me know. If you all needed some help, you could just come to me and ask.
The directional dads. That's what they are. I am happy to help. Just let me know what it is that you need.
I may have started a different episode.
And we're over there thinking, yes, because we're thinking, why should I have to tell you what I need? Like, why can you not, like, do you have eyeballs? Can you not read the room and see what's happening here?
Don't do that. Use your brain.
Yes, yes. Look around you. Do you see all that stuff you're stepping over? Maybe you can pick it up.
Sure. Yeah. So what we are.
Yeah, this may be a different episode, but I think I know why you shared that, because that's absolutely that's accurate, and that's what happens, and it does apply to what we're talking about.
Sure. Yeah, we're introducing a concept called the usual error. And the usual error is a book that was written, I don't know, it's at least 15 years or more ago. But
time's going by fast.
It
feels like just read this, but no, it's been 20 years.
So Pace and Kylie. It could be Kylie, just a weird spelling. But look, it was written by the Smiths.
Yeah.
Smiths, if you want to tell us what your proper pronunciation, come on the show. We'd love to have you. But anyway, they wrote it, and it's this usual error is an assumption that other people are just like you, right? So they think like you, they feel like you.
They have common sense like you. They see what's happening around them like you do.
Right, common sense is universal.
All right, I'll move on.
Right. And what's important to you is important to them, right? It continues.
Of course it is.
What's on your radar is on their radar, that everybody kind of sees the same and has the same kind of understanding as you do. And so that's where the usual error is, because you probably have experienced, and as we kind of shared, they don't.
No.
They don't.
No.
And one of the problems, because as it relates to relationships, right, is our spouses are different people who don't have those kind of same things on their radar, and they don't have those kind of same thoughts and common sense.
Yes, it really feels like common sense. I know it's not so common,
Right,
but
yeah.
that's what it feels like. The things, our filters seem very commonsensical to us.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
why they're our own filters, because
Yeah.
it's what makes sense.
That's right. That
So
absolutely.
how can you not see that this way makes sense?
Well, that's the thing, right? We've all got our lenses. If you're watching on YouTube, I just touched my glasses in case you didn't get the point. Right? So we all have our own lenses. You can't take off your lens and put on somebody else's lenses. That's you always are going to have your own lenses on. That's just something you're stuck with.
Yeah.
Congratulations. But what we do
Hope it's a good one for
yeah,
you.
yeah. Hopefully it's working. But what we want to get to is an idea of being able to put somebody else's lenses on top of ours and to become a little more aware of how other people see things.
Right. Yeah, you're going to have your own natural perspectives on things.
Sure, absolutely.
But we want to be willing to learn. We want to be willing to listen to another's perspective, especially in your spouse.
Especially your spouse.
Yeah.
And look, what's important to you, there should be a certain level that it becomes important to your spouse, right? I want things that are important to you, Jamie. I want things to be on my radar.
Right.
Simply
because they're important.
Because we're two becoming one flesh. Because I'm called in Ephesians 5:33 to love you as I love myself. So yeah, I need to become aware of those things. I need to become more attuned to you.
Right.
To your needs, to your thoughts, to what's going on, so that way I can respond and engage with those things better.
Right. You don't need to make them your cause or your passions.
Right.
And you don't need to be as passionate as I am about certain things.
Absolutely.
But because they matter to me, they should at some level matter to you.
Right. But part of the problem with the usual error is that we will forget that, and we will go through our days, our engagements, and all that, especially when we get elevated by things. And this is one of the reasons that elevates us. This is one of the things that will be a trigger.
Yeah.
And we'll go through that thinking that everybody else kind of sees these same things the same way I see it. They hear it the same way I hear it. And when that doesn't happen, then that's when there's breakdowns. These assumptions that are going on lead to unnecessary hurts.
Yeah, and I think even beyond that, it leads to divisions.
Yeah.
If you look at our society right now as a whole, it's very divided. And this is what's at root. I mean, this is the roots of it is I believe this is right. I stand with this cause. I believe this thing. I don't understand why you don't, and you're an idiot because you don't.
Because you don't.
Because that makes no sense to me. How could you not care about this thing? Because I have a whole list of reasons why it's important. What is wrong with you that you're not getting that?
Right.
And so instead of saying, hey, where do you stand on this? Let me see the perspective you're coming from, and give yourself the freedom to, you know what, we can be different about this.
Yeah.
But let me at least hear you. And we have these divided lines with everything, and we are not listening to one another at all. And if we think our comments on Facebook are changing lives,
Oh, they are.
they're not at all. They're just, it's gas on the fire.
Sure.
Because nobody's listening. Everybody's just, stomping on the ground going, this is my view, and you better get on board with it because I believe it's right. I believe my filter is the only one that is working.
Yeah, no. I mean, granted, I was on Facebook earlier, and there's like at least 5 or 6 posts I read that I've completely changed my mind.
Yeah, there was zero.
Said no one ever.
No,
Right.
no.
Yeah. So yeah, there is these divisions. There's miscommunications. And look, if you feel that this doesn't apply to you, then kind of think, have you ever said...
You're wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
Sorry. But no, have you ever said or thought, how could you not see that? How did you not know that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Those are the kind of things. And look, we all do it. That's why it's the usual error. We all do it. We'll find ourselves falling into it. And then we will realize, oh, that's right. My spouse isn't me. They do think differently, or they are allowed to have their own priorities and their own emphasis on certain things. That doesn't have to be mine. That's one of the things too that will happen is it feels like rejection.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you don't take up my cause as passionately as I do, well, then that could feel like rejection or abandonment.
Right.
You don't care about me, and that's the problem.
Yeah, we get very defensive.
Oh, sure.
Over that.
And so as a spouse, when remembering, okay, you know what? That's okay. They can have their passions and priorities. We don't have to align in every way. But then we're very forgetful creatures, and 5 minutes later we'll be like, how did you not know that?
Yeah. Yes.
And we'll fall right back into the usual error.
Yes, and this happens a lot, especially in marriage. I mean, just the story, the setup, the way you set me up in the beginning.
You make that sound like a bad thing.
No, it's you're fine. But the whole setup of the Sunday morning, it's like, how can you not see this?
Right.
How can you not see the needs that I have? That's one thing, is I shouldn't have to ask you to help me with this. You should be able to see that this needs to be done. You should be able to see my emotions or read my reactions and go, oh, you're looking like you need some help. You're looking a little frazzled or overwhelmed. What can I do?
Yeah.
And so there's assumptions in that where I'm assuming you see these needs. And then if you don't do what I'm assuming you should do, then I'll take the assumptions a step further. And then I will assign you a reason why you're not doing that.
Sure.
Which is it's a second layer to that. It's like, you see that I need this help or that the kids need this thing. You're not doing it. And now I'm going to assign the emotion or the reason why, because you don't care.
Right. Sure.
Because you only care about scrolling your phone. And now we're in this debate
only
or
care
in
about
this
yourself.
argument. Like and then it's, you're always on your phone. You're not even paying attention. And now we're
You're
arguing
a bad
about
parent.
things. Yes.
Sure.
All the things.
Yeah.
And so we can assume that our spouse should see the same things we see.
Yeah.
And we assume that they should react and respond to those things the exact same way we do.
Sure. Yeah. That's it leads us into a lot of different types of distorted automatic thoughts, right? Shoulds is definitely one of them. And when we should on somebody, you're right, then it not only are we kind of putting them in our heads, the story we're telling ourselves, right? They says they should do this and that. No, that's please. We're not saying that there shouldn't be some growth in these areas, that there shouldn't be some awareness. We'll get to that. But where we're at, so we're not explaining it away or excusing it. We're just talking about how the usual error plays out and how you normally see it. So but putting these shoulds will also, that's guilt inducing to the other person. That's suggesting that the other person is inferior and it's critical to their character and to them as a person. And so it's what's wrong with you? Were you born in a barn? How, do you not have empathy? Do you not have
you don't
a
even
clue?
care.
You're clueless, right? All these things that then actually, and unintentionally most of the time, but it's because we're triggered, because the story we're telling ourselves is they don't care about us.
Yes.
And so now we react out of that and we show up in ways that we don't want to show up and then tear, because hurt people, which is a different book. Then they tear at your spouse out of that hurt, out of that frustration, out of the being triggered.
Yeah. And I think even as far as our reactions, there is a level where we expect our spouse to care about the things we care about and to react the way. Maybe if you're in the stages of parenting young kids and one child is doing something and you've got one parent is like, why would you let them do that? Can you not see?
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't do that. And the other parent is like, no, they need to do this. Let them fall down. If they get hurt, they'll get back up. Whatever it is, you have different perspectives. And just that reaction time would be, what am I trying to say here? It's the way you react, the way you respond.
Right.
If it's different than how I'm responding, then I'm thinking that that's wrong.
Yeah, that falls into
and
it.
Even and I think this happens a lot on the husband's end, because I think the wife kind of fits more into the box of, can you not see? Like, where is your common sense? Can you not tell that all these things are going on? We tend to be more wired that way. But I think the husbands tend to expect their wives to not react to things that they don't want to react to.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, why are you getting so mad about that?
Yeah, that's
why are you overreacting?
the flip side.
Like,
Yeah.
you're making a big deal about this. This is not a big deal.
Again, the
so your
shoulds.
reaction is over the top.
Yeah.
It should match mine, which says it's totally fine.
Yeah, the shoulds are, it's not a big deal to me. It shouldn't be a big deal to you.
Yes, that's
I'm not getting all worked up. You shouldn't get all worked up.
Yeah.
You know? And so it plays both ways.
It does. It does. I mean, both spouses. So those are a lot of scenarios where that's happening.
Sure. And one of the other challenges, right, with this is it distorts, it creates these false narratives, these stories we tell ourselves, but it also centers around mind reading as well. Because part of that is I know their motivations. I know their thoughts. I know why it is that he's sitting on the bed on his phone, because he only cares about himself and he's only thinking about himself. And so now that's where these things kind of stir up in me, or these other kind of things, which mind reading doesn't exist.
It really doesn't.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't. I mean, there's a component of it, the longer you've been married, where it does, like, you get a little better. You should deeply know your spouse and stuff. But for the most part, it's not a thing. It's not a thing. And that's where, like, these assumptions can be really harmful when we assume that we can read our spouse's mind, and when they think they can read ours.
Sure. Well, you know what happens when we assume? Bad things happen.
Yeah.
Bad things relationally happen. We just don't want to go there. I'm sorry, you're getting ready to say something serious.
Yeah, okay, I hear you. But I want to talk about, let's talk about assumptions.
Yeah.
Like, as far as, like, biblically speaking and stuff, it's an assumption is something accepted as true without proof. And that's the thing. And so when we accept something as true without any evidence, without any proof, that can be damaging because it distorts reality.
Sure.
And now, like you're saying, like, we're living off of these false narratives.
Yep.
We're telling ourselves this story of, you're wrong for doing that, and you don't even care about me, or whatever it is, or you're overreacting and things like that. And now we're going to go about our lives living off of something that is false.
Oh, yeah. And kind of basing off
And
of
that is the exact opposite of what we are called to do as believers.
Yeah, these unproven beliefs. Instead of going off of understanding, instead of off of clarifying the real situation. Okay, I'm going to go down a little bit of a rabbit trail. People who, because this is something that bothers me, people will say, well, that's my truth. That's my truth. I get what people are trying to say. I think it's the wrong terminology, because words mean things. I think we're trying to say, hey, that's how I experienced. That was my perception. That's the way I see it, which is fine. Absolutely. You are entitled to see things the way that you see them and have your perspective. I'm not trying to take that away.
Doesn't mean they're true.
But it doesn't mean that they're true. And it doesn't. And so by calling it your truth, doesn't make it all the more. It's almost like now I can submit
It's
it
a
as
justification.
Yeah. Well, or I could submit it as evidentiary,
right?
Because it's my
because
truth.
I believe this,
right? Versus just hey, this is the way I see it. And I think that part of the challenge that we get into, it's that mentality, that mindset, where we will be thinking, since these are my beliefs, these are my assumptions that I've made on these unproven beliefs, then somehow that makes it more substantial, or defensible might be the term. I can defend it better because that's how I came up with it, versus having a certain amount of humility is the wrong word, but I guess
No, I think humility is the right word.
Okay,
and I want to talk about that in a little bit as we get into this. But if you think of, like, Philippians 4:8, the first line in there, it's finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is true, and it goes on to what's honorable and just and pure and all of that, and think about these things.
Right.
I mean, we are called to pause and go, what's true? What's true? These are my feelings. They might be truthfully how I feel.
And they're based off of my perceptions.
Right. But is it based off of actual truth?
Right.
You're allowed to have your feelings, but before we act on them, we need to get some evidence. We need to get some proof.
Right.
And so I may feel like, you know what, you're doing this because you don't care, or I think this way is wrong, but then what's the truth in it? can I ask you, what it feels like to me is you don't care that I'm running around doing everything. What's going on? And what's likely going on is you're like, I'm just looking at my phone. I was just waiting. And I thought if you needed help, you would ask me for it.
Yeah.
And now we can have a conversation based off of that and come to an agreement of like, okay, here's what we need to do to mitigate that.
I was just going to say one of the husband's perspective actually might be, look, it was so crowded and chaotic there.
Staying out of the way.
I was just trying to stay out of the way and not be part of the problem.
And which that may be still frustrating.
Sure.
But now we have truth.
Yeah.
And now we can say, okay, here's what I want to not happen moving forward.
Yeah, let's create a plan.
Here are my expectations. I'm not going to assume you're going to know what my expectations are without me telling you, without me sharing with you.
Right. Which, look, it's not one and done. And I
wish.
I share this with couples all the time. Well, I've told them that. I told her this, right? And it's like, okay, how many times have you read the back of a box, read the recipe box, thrown away the recipe box?
We're real chefs over here.
I know.
Our food's prepared from boxes.
Yeah. But thrown away the box and then had to pull it
Take it back out of the
trash. And then you go, okay, that's right. And then you put it back in the trash and you start working. And then you have to pull it back out of the trash again. Okay, so you're pulling things out of the trash because you've read it and you forgot about it.
2 minutes ago.
So let's have grace.
Right.
Let's have grace. It's going to take a while for certain things, for us to change patterns, to change the way that we do things.
Just you saying that, I mean, look at our relationship with the Lord. How many things has the Lord told us, and how much has He written in Scripture that we're like, oh, I not only forgot about that, I'm just completely ignoring it, even though I literally just read it 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And I know this to be true. I've known it since I've been a believer, but I still struggle to do it.
And doesn't James say something about like we're a dog returning to our vomit?
Yes. I mean, that is it. And so we've got to, you're not going to have a healthy marriage if you don't have a healthy dose of grace in it as well.
Amen.
And praise the Lord that He has that abounding grace for us.
Sure. Yeah. That's a huge praise.
It is. You're proud of the dog to its vomit.
No. Just the whole, that whole discussion.
Yeah.
And
so we don't want to base things on unproven things.
Sure, right. Well, along that, it's lacking wisdom, right? Proverbs, love Proverbs, about wisdom. You're wise or you're fool.
Yeah.
Proverbs 18:2, a fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, that it could not be more clear. Here's my opinion. That is what it is, and you better get on board.
It's my truth.
It's foolish. It's foolish, and that's not going to be honoring in your marriage.
Yeah, we're not taking pleasure in understanding. We're not gaining understanding. And even then, I was kind of even thinking this idea, sometimes we get caught up in this wanting to win the argument, which I think part of this is the base, right? Because it's my truth, so now I can defend that versus seeking understanding and to understand what's really going on. And maybe we don't have to have an argument.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there, that maybe instead of going, how can I win this argument, which we're not necessarily going with that mindset most of the time, but go, hey, can I gain understanding and so we don't end up arguing at all?
Right.
Isn't that a win for you both and relationally?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. And I think, let me ask you for a minute here, because I was just thinking, excuse me, of myself as far as what is the why behind why we do this? And I think there's some different reasons why we may automatically do that. And I think you had mentioned the pride in it. And I think there is a belief that, because I'm thinking and feeling this and seeing it this way, that is true. And that is very prideful. But I also think, because this is something I know I have done a lot in our marriage, especially earlier on, like that kid story, that's for real, man. It's like that stuff happens in a lot of things. We've shared on multiple episodes.
I don't know how to do girls' hair.
No, but you do. You do.
I do.
Do.
It's just their eyes are bulging out because I pulled the hair back so tight.
You can do a ponytail.
Mama, can you release that ponytail?
I know. But there is that, some of the things, I think we do this for safety a little bit as well, because it's predictable. If I can figure out why you're not doing this, and if I can make that assumption you're not doing it because of this, well, now that's information for me so I can gain back control. And so now I can share with you, like you're doing, and I think that it's a driving force for me, is to have almost the predictability, which give the safety to it. And kind of like, and for you to flip this on you, is because sometimes we will withhold, because like you would withhold things because of your assumptions of how I'm going to react to it.
Sure.
And so there's that, you know what, I'm going to make this assumption because that assumption keeps me safe. If I know you're going to be really mad if I share this with you, you know what, that's good information to have, because now I'm not going to share it. You know, is that making sense at all?
Yeah, but what was your question?
That kind of is the question. Like, do you think like that is a reason that couples may do this as well because of the predictability, or it's like,
No, I think it's self-protection.
yeah,
I think it goes a little along with that idea of the predictability, but it's more of because we do like predictability. We like to know things are going to happen in certain ways because it does make us feel more comfortable, feel safer.
Yeah.
So there's a self-protection in that. But I think we are quick to come up with worst case scenarios out of self-protection.
Self-protection,
Because I have to
yeah.
prepare myself for the worst case scenario. I don't need to prepare myself for the good things.
yeah. And so and I think that's kind of it, like that negativity bias. That it's like, you know,
true,
let me stay ahead of this.
Right.
So that way it's more in my control.
Yeah.
That's not biblical.
No. No.
It's not biblical.
Yeah. We did an episode about control.
Yeah. And so I think like what's underneath this desire, or what's underneath us doing these things, I think it does primarily come from pride, from thinking our way is best.
Yep.
Also not biblical. I mean, pride comes before the
fall,
fall.
yeah.
Yeah, pride leads to destruction, and it will divide, and it will tear apart your connection and your relationship.
Sure, because
But then
pride's about
also
self, not about us.
Right. But then also that self-protection, which kind of, I mean, there's pride rooted underneath that as well.
Sure.
But I was just thinking for myself, like I can feel a lot of that in it, because it's me staying one step ahead. When you're making an assumption, you're by default staying one step ahead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you for the questions. I'm going to jump ahead, or for the answers, I'm going to jump ahead and already cherry pick the answer that I think that it is. That way I can figure out how to maneuver through that situation.
Right. And in this situation, it certainly was more of a loaded scenario, right? So there's a lot more that's triggering, and the stress is in it. I think that's why, why I picked that one. I thought it would be fun.
Yeah.
So it can happen in less, what's the word I'm looking for? Elevated ways.
Yeah.
So certainly just even kind of thinking, oh, well, I thought you'd want to go over here, or I thought you'd want to do this,
Right.
or, you know what, or you don't want to do that. Those kind of things. So certainly there's sort of lower keys, but when we are amped up, that we are absolutely more hyper vigilant to stay steps ahead of the threat.
Right.
How do we mitigate
Right.
this? How do we keep from falling into the traps, right? And or being quartered by the lion, whatever. So there's different things that we'll be doing that our minds are designed to do that we'll be like, okay, how can we keep bad things from happening?
Right.
Or from things getting worse.
Right.
And so that's where one of the challenges with that. I think when you kind of just go back to this idea of where, hey, everybody kind of sees the world as I see it, it's a little bit of a self-centered. I don't know how prideful it is. We can lock into the pride, but that's where it could go bad.
Right.
But I think that's where, when we are kind of thinking everybody sees things how I see it, we miss a lot.
Yeah.
We put people in the defensive because now they have to defend their viewpoint.
Well, we're labeling them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Another distorted automatic thought.
Yeah.
Foretelling, mind reading, labeling, shoulding, all those things. And so now if you say, well, you should be doing this, or you should be, now I have to defend, or why aren't you doing this? Why didn't you think of
Right.
this? I have to defend what my position was and what I was really doing. And so I start off on the wrong foot.
Yeah. And then we're in a situation in our marriage where we're not seeking to know one another. We're assuming, it's like, nope, I know your thoughts, I know your motives, I know your reasons for
True,
everything. And you know what? That's you being God. That is you. That is you straight up trying to play God, going, I know all things.
Yeah.
I have no clue about your heart.
Yeah.
I can make judgments based off of it, but I have no idea what's going on in your heart. I mean, that's God stuff.
Yeah, it is. I love that you brought that up. I am all knowing in my household. In my household.
Yeah.
Outside, no, but in my house, I am.
Yeah.
No, it's ludicrous when you actually say these things out loud.
And that's where, like, what we want is a marriage that moves a little slower. A marriage that leans in and asks questions and has curiosity for one another. And a marriage where you have humility to just not be going through life with this filter that says, I know all the things and my ways are right.
Sure.
I mean, that's my ways are higher. Like, no. No. And so to just slow things down and go, you know, maybe I don't know. Here's how I feel when you do that or when you don't do that. Here's what I'm assuming, but now I'm aware of this assumption. And so now let me ask you, am I right?
Yeah.
Here's what I'm reading. Am I right? Or I feel that you don't care about this. Am I right about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why are you not doing this?
I like to think of it as exercising the insight muscle. What else could be going on?
Yeah.
What else could be happening? And if I don't know what else could be happening, then maybe ask, like you were just saying.
Yeah.
Right? Just first start off Ephesians 4:2-3. It instructs us to bear with one another in love. Right? So let's step in this, I love that you're saying, slow it down.
Right.
And we're to bear with each other in love. If I'm coming at you hard and fast because I'm stressed out, that's not as loving as we'd like.
No.
I don't think it would meet the definition of bearing with each other in love.
And I think, like, when you're using the terminology to bear with one another in love, I mean, I'm thinking of, like, childbirth. It's like when you're pushing that baby out there, like, bear down.
Yeah.
This is not like an easy thing.
I like that.
And so it is like, no, really lean in, really push in and go, hey, what's happening here? Even though it's super uncomfortable, even though you might be really frustrated, even though you might be elevated, even though you might be operating off of a belief system that says my husband is against me, my husband is behaving like a moron, my husband lacks common sense.
I'm going to rip somebody's head off.
Yeah, and when you're feeling all that stuff and you choose to bear with one another in love, that's going, oh, let me shove all this stuff down. Let me acknowledge how I'm feeling, but let it lean me in towards you to ask questions instead of just unleashing the bear.
Well, you talked about humility, and I don't know. It probably would be fun to look up how many times that we're told to be humble and walk in humility and in all humility and all those kind of things. I think that because there's so many references, it's because we're not good at it.
Right.
If we were good at it, we wouldn't have to be reminded so many times to do it. And it's just not a easy stance for us to always take. But I love that's a great analogy. I hope that sticks with people. That'll probably be on the clip. Just because really that humility, that bearing down in love, let me step away from making this about me. Not even necessarily making it about you. Let's just making it about how can we honor God and what He asks us to do. And to show the love and the grace and all this stuff that we are grateful that God gives us.
And shows us. Yeah.
It shows us. And show up that way in the moment. Show up the way that we want God to show up for us when we're in our feelings and we're slipping. Do that, because that's the goal, right? And then be able to engage each other. I promise. It will be, first, if your normal interaction is like at the top of this show that we were talking about, and that's your normal reaction, if you step in like we're suggesting, your spouse will first probably be shocked and stunned.
True.
But then afterwards, it will make a difference, a significant difference. There's no way it can't. When we do things God's way, there's no way it can't make a significant difference.
Right. Yeah, because it's like I would all day long rather you come at me with a question to seek to understand me than with an accusation.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Like, you're going to get defensiveness. I wish I was spiritually mature enough to tell you that, you know what, you can do that, and I strive to do that.
Yeah.
But almost always, if you come at me with an accusation, I'm going to automatically defend myself.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to automatically self-protect. you know, and
That's how it
ideally
works.
we learn from that, you know, but also we are called as believers to seek truth.
Yeah.
We're called to have discernment. And that's some of the stuff we have to do along with practicing that humility is know that we have a standard of seeking truth because we want to be able to deal with what is true. And I knew I was going to get Thessalonians. First Thessalonians 5:21 says, "Test everything and hold on to what is good." You know, so it's like, test this. Here's my theory. Here's my belief. Here's my opinion. Here's my feeling. Let me test it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're called to do. And instead, we're not testing. We're just, boom, I feel this. I believe this. My way's wrong. Yours is not. Get on board, buddy. Like that is where we go. And that's not what we're supposed to do. And so
Right.
how do we, let's start wrapping this up here with like, how do we get out of this? What are things to get us out of breaking this usual error in our marriage?
Well, you started off with slow things down. All right. Pause before reacting. We don't want to have knee-jerk reactions.
Yeah.
We all want to be loved and accepted. What works against us is this self-protection that leads to emotional reactivity. And that reactivity, that the way we react out of being triggered, tends to be a trigger for our spouse, and the way they react tends to be a trigger for us. Right. So instead of reacting this knee-jerk, right, pause and try to respond to the situation. I want to bring back the WWJD
bracelets. Yeah.
What would Jesus do in this? Slow down and maybe even ask, do I have proof? Is this true? Or am I assuming?
Right.
Is this the story I'm telling myself, or is this actually what's happening? And so, like we talked about before, curiosity is huge. Right? It's disarming. It's engaging. It's relational. When we're relational, good things tend to happen. So the next thing after slowing down and taking a pause is ask some clarifying questions. Right? You had thrown some out ideas before, but like, hey, can you help me understand what you mean? Is this how things are, or are you waiting for something, or something that's going on? Whatever it is, but just try to gain a better understanding instead of getting defensive and reactive.
Yeah, and when you mentioned the self-protection again, it just hit me. It's like, if I have to, in a marriage, I should not have to protect myself from you.
Ooh.
And so the automatic assumption, if I'm having to self-protect, what does that tell you?
Oh, yeah.
What is that suggesting to you? It's suggesting to you that you're somebody harmful in my life.
You're a threat.
That you're a threat.
Yeah.
You're only going to get so close with the threats in your lives, in your life. And so if I'm self-protecting from the man who's supposed to love me, and I'm just labeling you as someone who is a threat and who is someone who's intentionally harming me emotionally, that's a problem.
Yeah.
We're not going to get connected unless we cast that aside and start going, hey, what is the truth here?
Sure. Right.
And it might be, no, I do care. And I love you so much. I want to help you. I just didn't know what to do then.
I just thought the best thing to do would be get out of the way. You need one less person crowding your space right now.
Yes. And it is also to leave room for that grace, like we mentioned, where it's like, you know what, maybe we do disagree with this. And it's like, no, I do disagree with that, but that's okay. I appreciate how you feel about this.
Yeah.
You know, what's really going on with you? You give me your answer. I'm like, I still don't get it. I don't feel that way. But I appreciate and I value your opinions and your feelings on this.
Yeah.
And if you need to work things out, you can work things out. And we have together at the end of this episode in the show notes, we have a handout, a worksheet for you. It's the usual error interrupter sheet. And so it's got some of these questions that you can ask one another, you know, and move on and have these conversations, because sometimes you are going to need to resolve things.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are going to go, you know, we can't really get on the same page with this, but we can, when we're not on the same page, we can have grace, we can have forgiveness, and we can have understanding, and we can make sure our spouse has a voice in our marriage.
Sure. Well, and also, you know, there's certain ways to respond better in the situation, like pausing and, you know, reflecting back, asking clarified questions. Ask, hey, I'm hearing you say this. Is that right? You know, those kind of things. But also when you're not in the heat of the moment, right? Maybe after lunch when the kids get put down for nap or whatever.
Yeah.
Then have a conversation. Hey, this morning when this was going on, here's what I would like to have happened, or here's what was happening. I don't know why you weren't engaged. But what I would like to have happen is this. I don't know how important it is to know what people's thoughts or motivations were, unless you disagree on the plan of action. Right? If you disagree on the plan of action, then maybe find out why.
Right.
But you might even be able to completely bypass arguments.
And I think part of that, what you're talking about, it involves you knowing when you're making assumptions. It's you knowing when you are falling prey to that usual error of, you know what, I'm assuming my husband should think like me, or I'm labeling him as being this way, or I'm assuming what his emotions are, what he's thinking, or the reasons why he's motivated to do this thing this way.
Right.
And so just like slowing things down and really being humble, being filled with grace, and being willing to check yourself and know, hey, I'm making an assumption. And whether that's catching it in the moment or following it up after, going, here's what I'm thinking. And now let's talk about this. Let's talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And one of the things I was going to say is two things I was going to say, but one more thing is don't forget to involve God.
Yes.
Right. It's sometimes just even the breath prayer, just a sentence prayer before reacting. God, help me in this moment.
Yeah.
Help bring the peace, Lord.
Yeah.
Help me to react, to
Acknowledge
respond
to
in
God
love.
what you're feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring it to God and invite Him into the moment and into our other conversations. And speaking of inviting God.
Okay, set yourself up for that one.
Let's invite Him now.
Yeah.
Heavenly Father, we just come before you today. We're just asking for wisdom and humility in our marriages. And Lord, help us to pause before making assumptions and to seek understanding instead. And Lord, just teach us to listen with open hearts, to ask questions with gentleness, and to choose curiosity over offense. And remind us, Father, that only you see the whole picture and you know the motives of our hearts. So we pray that you'll help us to rely on your wisdom and not our own understanding, and guide us towards unity and grace and patience with one another. And may our words and actions reflect your love, and may our marriages bring glory to you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, once again, thank you for joining us on the Expedition Marriage Podcast. We don't take it for granted that you are here. And we hope that all of these conversations help you remember that your marriage is going to work the best. It's going to thrive when you do it God's way. And, hopefully you've gotten some nuggets of real truth on this episode, and knowing that His way is always going to be the right way, and the way it's on truth. It's standing on truth. And so in this situation, when you replace your assumptions with curiosity, and when you choose grace over taking offense, things are going to work out so much better for you in your relationship. You are going to be more connected, and that's what we want for you. So if today's episode encouraged you, be sure to share it with a friend, someone who you know needs it. Leave us a review. We love getting the reviews, and it really helps us push this message of gospel truth for marriages all across the world. And also, don't forget about that free user error. I keep wanting to say user error, and I did it right then. But the usual error interrupter worksheet. And then don't forget, you can always connect with us at expeditionmarriage.org, and we've got more tools over there. Set up a counseling session. Let us help you however we can.